Round the 412. We are part of allsteelers.com and proudly presented by Crowworthy, where winners are serving winners coast to coast with sports, gambling, fantasy, and more. You can follow Crowworthy at Crowworthy Takes on Twitter. You can visit us at crowworthy.com. You can also check out the Crowworthy Pittsburgh City page for podcasts just like this one, blogs by us, and more. And I'm Tyler, and with me as always is – what's going on, man?
As we open this up, Jacob Stallings just tied the Pirate game at 1, so shout out to Jacob Stallings.
Only catcher worth a damn.
Solo shot. Yeah, Ricky's ahead of us, man. He said he came in here and said Stallings with an exclamation point right away. We are going to have big brain quarterback Josh Dobbs joining the show here in a little bit. Whenever he joins, I'll introduce him. We'll get him in here. We're looking at probably 7:30, so 27-ish minutes from now. But shout out to everybody that's in here right now. If you want to leave and come back around 7:30, we totally get it.
Yeah, we're not as big of an attraction as Josh Dobbs is. So
no, we're going to talk about obviously his background with football and his background with all of a sudden engineering and how that's playing. The dude literally worked at NASA. Like he had an externship at NASA. So it's going to be interesting to have this conversation with him. He's going to say stuff that we don't understand, and I'm going to have to Google while we're on here.
I'm going to ask him a couple things that he might not be expecting, but I'm really curious about. I'm sure
that he's not going to be expecting.
Well, you'll see. There's one question that you might think the question is stupid, and I think the question might be a little stupid. But I also know that there's a lot of conspiracy things about this, so I'm asking his opinion on it. It has to do with space. So
it was just like International Space Day or whatever recently, right? So
yeah, and the Steelers posted that thing of Dobbs talking about different space stuff and talking about NASA, and that was pretty neat.
Yeah, it was just a couple days ago. So hopefully, if you guys didn't see that video, go check out that video. It's pretty recent in the Steelers media, but I'm sure some of that stuff could come up again here tonight as we start to dive into some questions with him. But yeah, he'll be joining us probably about 25 minutes or so. We're supposed to be at 7. I don't know. He said he was going to be cutting it close, so might as well push it to 7:30 if we could. Which we weren't going to say no to. So, he'll be on around 7:30. Until then, we really haven't talked about the Steelers a whole lot, other than like we did our live show, obviously, during the draft. Mm-hmm. We haven't talked much about the draft picks, though.
Yeah, the draft was, a week and a half ago now? So we haven't really –
and we haven't really – yeah, I was feeling like crap the day 3 of the draft because my plan was – I knew I wasn't going to do a live stream for day 3. But I was like, maybe I'll do like a YouTube video to recap it or something like that. I didn't end up doing that. Like I literally felt horrible. So we haven't really got to talk about those day 3 picks at all. And we haven't talked like in depth about any of the picks. So first and foremost, being that I am on here, of course, the jersey numbers have to be something that we talk about because I remember going back to last year when we had Alex on, and I think he was on here not too long after we realized he was going to wear the number 56. No, it was before he picked his number because I was going through combinations, right?
I believe so because, we had him on it was in July, I think, though. I don't think he had his number yet.
Okay, either he had his number and we were talking about other ones that he might have had, or he wanted 56 and we just weren't sure if that was for sure happening. Either way, we were having a conversation about it. We knew 56 would look the best. What I am surprised by here, we don't have anybody really taking advantage of the New Jersey rules in this class.
Yeah. Maybe they just want to stick with more traditional. And to be fair, personally, I'm not a fan of a lot of the looks of some of these like James Conner wearing number 6. That's news today. That dropped today as well. I don't know where the number 6 came from for James Conner. Maybe it has some significance to it, but I'm not really a fan of that look. So maybe some of these guys, they just aren't a fan of how some of the numbers look on them. So they just want to stick with the traditional stuff. And I get it too, because like you grow up and like the numbers for each position and like you're so used to seeing that. So switching it could just feel a little bit weird. So they probably just want to be a little more traditional.
Yeah. By the way, shout out to B_G Nation 1 on Twitter. I don't want to just use your graphic here and not give you credit for it. But we kind of knew Najee Harris was going to pick 22. With Pat Fryermuth, apparently didn't want to go with 87 because he doesn't want to be called Baby Gronk, kind of wants to get away from that. I like the 88. Now, two of these are going to be controversial. I'm curious as to where you're at with it. Kendrick Green going with 53, just kind of, he's supposed to be the next in line at center, obviously just taking over Pouncey's spot and taking his number in the process. And of course, Quincy Roche now going to be a rotating piece off the edge, taking Bud Dupree's number, the recently departed Bud Dupree. So where are you at with that? Do you care at all about that happening?
No.
I feel like simple answer.
I feel like I've made my opinion very clear on how I feel about jersey numbers and other players wearing the same jersey numbers as former players. Like earlier this year, whenever people were making a big fuss about Jeff Carter wearing number 77 for the Penguins, even though Paul Coffey was 77. Like, listen, I don't care. I think a lot of retired jersey numbers are like, unless you're a jersey retired, that's fine. Then you don't wear it. But if it's not retired, I don't see a reason why you shouldn't wear it. I mean, if anything, the only thing that would be like a little odd is like the Kendrick Green wearing 53, just because he was a Steeler for so long. He was a big deal for the Steelers for a decade. Marquise Pouncey was what I'm talking about, obviously. And it's like so fresh, but at the same time, I really don't care. Like, if he wants to wear 53, wear 53. It'll probably look pretty normal for Steeler fans to see 53 at center. And then for 48, I just feel like Bud Dupree, like as much as a great player Bud Dupree wasn't really here long enough. He didn't do it as good as he was doing it long enough. He didn't really make an impact for me to really care about someone else wearing 58 or 48. Sorry. So yeah, I really just don't care about other players wearing jersey. I mean, even Loudermilk 92, like that's an all-time Steeler in James Harrison. I do not care if he wears 92.
But no one's bringing that part up. Like no one's brought up 92 with Loudermilk, which, well, Sarge did because he likes the number 92 is his birth year. But as far as like James Harrison and the history of the Steelers, no one's really like voiced an opinion of having an issue with that, at least that I've seen. Whereas like with Green and Roche, I have. And like, I don't have an issue with either one, but I think along with you, the difference is with Pouncey as opposed to Bud is Pouncey only played his career in Pittsburgh. He was here for a longer period of time than Dupree. And also like you mentioned too, Dupree, I know that he was obviously at the 5th year option and then the tag, but he never actually signed a second contract in Pittsburgh. So yeah, I don't have an issue with either of them, honestly. But like, if I was going to, it'd probably be with Green before Roche.
Yeah, I feel like there's only a couple like numbers where I'm like, okay, you shouldn't wear that. Like if Ben retired and then they didn't retire the number right away, and then another player wanted to come in and wear number 7. Like that one, I'd be like, okay, I don't think he should wear number 7. Like that would be one where I don't think that should be retired right away as soon as he retires. But the other numbers, I mean, as much as I love Marquise Pouncey, loved Bud Dupree when he was a Steeler, it doesn't faze me as much. I don't really care. I mean, look at like 51. James Ferrier was a big deal for the Steelers when he was on that defense. I did not even think about that at all until I saw the 51. I'm like, oh yeah, that was James Ferrier's number.
Yeah, you can't just. I mean, you're gonna have a lot of like
22. Deuce Staley. You kidding me?
Pat Fryermuth is wearing Lynn Swan's number. I mean,
I love Deuce Staley,
and I know people have voiced their opinion about that. It is what it is. But okay, this draft class as a whole, though, kind of, I would say it kind of went a different direction than what we thought it was going to, and I think that it was mainly just because of the round 2 pick. Like we kind of all knew Najee Harris was going to be the round 1 choice. If he was on the board, it was kind of set in stone that way. But we get to round 2, and you weren't on the live stream with us. So the Steelers take Pat Fryermuth, and we were like,
I was watching a musical.
Okay. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I said I wanted them to go tight end relatively early, but I didn't see them going tight end before they addressed offensive line, which is what they decided to do.
Yeah. And mainly the big question for me, like I was never mad at any of these picks with, say, like, especially like the Fryermuth and the Green picks. I feel like those caused the biggest uproar, right? Like initially among Steeler fans. And I was never really upset about either of those picks, but I was more just surprised at them because with Fryermuth, you still had Humphrey and Minor still on the board. So I thought, okay, it's like at that point I was like, if Creed Humphrey's there, you got to take him, right? And they take Fryermuth.
And that's kind of what we were saying on the live stream as well. So
yeah, and so he ends up being there. They don't take him, but like Fryermuth, great tight end, So it's like I can't really complain about that. And then whenever the Kendrick Green happened, Quinn Miners was still there, so that's like the pick I was expecting there. And then they picked Kendrick Green, a different center. I'm like, okay, like I don't hate this pick, but like I want to know why. Like, why did they choose him over the other guy? It was just more surprising to me than actual like I was upset about the pick, you know?
Yeah, and I think we don't really take in consideration, or at least we should. But I don't think that we were taking into consideration like the scheme when talking about these guys. Like what scheme would fit this guy best? Because the Steelers obviously had Kendrick Green higher on their board than Quinn Miners for the scheme that they're going to run under Matt Canada. And we would have never really thought about that. Kendrick Green was not really a name that we were considering a whole lot unless it got like late. I didn't expect him to go that high. But, I mean, you turn on the tape and you can see why this team fell in love with him. I think the only question is how quickly is he going to be able to be the center for this team? Like only 4 career starts at that position in college. You would have to think that they're hoping that he wins the job straight up to start the season. I mean, hopefully he does. But because that's decent capital to invest in a guy at that position when you really don't have great options behind him. I said, they got to come away with three or 4 guys that are going to be starters right away. Obviously you have Harris. I think Freiermuth, you can consider him probably like a starter, because if he's going to play like that Vance McDonald role and have Vance McDonald snaps on a game-to-game basis as that tight end too. And I think that we see a lot more like 2 tight end packages under Matt Canada. So I think you can consider him a starter. If Kendrick Green, I think he's got to win this job to start the season. Like if it's BJ Finney or it's JC Hassenauer, I'm not feeling too good about this.
Well, I thought like your first 3 picks, I mean, you hope that you get more starters out of this draft than just 3. But your first 3 picks, just based off where they are, I feel like those had to be like day 1 starters. At least that's what you're hoping for. Because if they aren't, then why are you drafting them that high? Is the way I'm looking at it. Especially with this team, like you're not really in a, like we've said multiple times, you're in a win now mode. Ben came back, you got Juju back, especially like all 3 picks are offensive picks for the Steelers. So it's like you want those guys to start right away. I mean, you're in win now mode. You don't really have time to like let anybody sit back and like wait and develop under other people. Like you're hoping these guys will just be day 1 guys right away.
Yeah, I think the one, and just to like look at the draft class and kind of evaluate it as a whole, the Loudermilk pick kind of confused me. I mean, he was considered an undrafted guy by most, people's rankings. They trade up for him, by the way. We got Josh Room, so he's going to be joining it very shortly.
Well, the thing with the Loudermilk pick that confused me was not even just like the pick itself, but like the trade for it. Like, do they like that? Do they see something that we don't, that they're trading a pick to be able to take this guy?
Obviously they do, but we can talk about it a little bit later, because joining us now, I'm about to channel my inner Pat McAfee. Joining us now is a man with a rocket for an arm, with an absolutely massive brain. He's going to make us look like idiots right now. The smartest man in Pennsylvania, Mr. Joshua Dobbs. Josh, what's going on, buddy?
What's up, guys? How you guys doing this evening?
Good, man. Appreciate you joining us. Let me rearrange my screen real quick. I'm not going to be the big guy on the screen. There we go. Perfect.
There we go. That. Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate you.
How awesome.
Hey, thank you for coming on.
How awesome is your agency? I think they're my favorite agency to deal with.
They are on it. They're so professional. Rachel, and just like the communication, everything. Yeah. So thank you. I know I was a couple minutes late today, so thank you guys for keeping it open.
You know what? You're earlier than the time that we pushed it back to. So you're early in our book. We had it at 7:30. Right? So No, Rachel, I told Rachel before we jump into this, I told Rachel that she is the first person to actually follow up with me about trying to get somebody on, because most of the time it's like me hounding the person's agent, trying to get them on here 3-4 times. But no, she's awesome. We got a great agency. We've done, because you have the same agent as Ulysses Gilbert, who's been on here. So we've dealt with them in the past. Yeah.
Well, good.
All right,
well, good.
let's jump right into this.
Priority. Yeah, we're good peeps over here.
Yeah, we're going to jump right into this. If anybody has any questions in the comments that they want to put in there, we will try to get to it. But we got a pretty solid list of our own. We want to talk about football, obviously, but man, like Space Day just passed. We got no clue what we're talking about. I know Tyler has some questions of his own, but I just want to talk about your externship at NASA and what that whole process was like.
Oh, it was a blast, legit. So the first time I was down there last off season before, COVID kind of changed the whole way of everyday life. It was a kind of like a full encompassing experience where I got a chance to really just go down to Kennedy Space Center and hang out with just different engineers across the space station, seeing what they do. Their big project on the NASA side, the Artemis project, to go to the moon, back to the moon, and then to Mars. So they have their hands full with that. So I was jumping around, shadowing, learning from them, learning from the best of the best. And then this casting, I just did a virtual stint where I stayed connected, got a chance to partner up with the Razor and the Pilot Excavator group. They're working on a rover to land on the moon surface to mine regolith. And so I was a system engineer in that group. I got to pick out, learn of all the different lunar landers that they're looking to put the rover on, and figure out which is the best one for the job. So it's a cool experience, both of them. A very cool experience. It's really cool right now in the space world. A lot of things are happening. They're shooting off a lot of rockets, which we love to see. So it's good to be around it.
Yeah, I can't wait to go back and watch this over and try to figure out what you're talking about. No, I'm kidding. No, but that's awesome. That's obviously, I mean, that's what you went to school for. So did you know when did you figure out that that's what you wanted to do? Like what you wanted to get your degree in?
I started early. I was always interested in math and science, good at them, interested in aviation. Like growing up as a kid, I didn't just enjoy going to the airport and just watching planes just take off. It's like now they have the flight trackers where the people are sitting at the airport, like tracking the plane. That was me as a kid in the tarmac, in the terminal. So, it was always a passion of mine. I knew, like, when I went to college, I wanted to study a major that I enjoyed, that I could put to use, and something I was passionate about. As passionate about that as I am with football. So it worked out perfectly.
Okay.
Did you
Tyler, I know you have questions about space,
I mean,
so we can just...
Yeah, but like growing up, did you think there's like any chance like I'm gonna work with NASA one day? Like, 'cause that's got to be the dream.
For sure. I think that's always, as any kid who plays football, right? Your dream is to play in the NFL. From the engineering side, when you first find your love of aviation, like I visited Kennedy Space Center when I was 7. And that was peak shuttle, where they are launching shuttles 4 times a year. There's astronauts all over campus. So yeah, it's like it would be really cool to work with NASA. Yeah, definitely. And it was cool. Like I remember the first day when I showed up for my externship last year, because it obviously is a government agency, so you got to get your credentials. You got to get credentials on top of credentials. You got to get into all the secret areas. And so I show up, you got to pull up the badging station. There's a line. I just remember getting like the first badge says like Joshua Dobbs and like NASA on the top. It's like, wow, it's pretty official. So I got to keep it as a good keepsake for sure. But no, it definitely is a fun time, and good to be able to partner with the best of the best.
We know how hard it is for, I feel like, every college athlete to balance life between school and football or whatever sport you play. But I mean, with your major, how was that? Because I feel like that is such a tough major to balance out with, and you were able to maintain a 4.0 GPA. I mean, what was that like for you?
It definitely wasn't the normal college experience, I'll tell you that. With anything, it takes a lot of time management. It takes a lot of discipline. I think that's the biggest thing, I learned. When you want to, go out and achieve one of the hardest majors on campus, as well as playing the most difficult position in sport on campus at the quarterback position, and you want to do them both at the highest level possible, it takes a lot of discipline and focus on your craft. There's a lot of sacrifice. There's a lot of times where, I was the last one out the facility and then the last one out the library as well on the same night. Just because, you got to put in the time of work and dedication to your craft. So my schedule was hectic, took a lot of time management, a lot of discipline, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't go back and change any part of it.
Now, this might seem like a weird question, and I told Smitty I had a weird question beforehand, just because it deals with space. Okay, just since you've worked with NASA, I know there's a lot of conspiracy theorists out there, and I'm not one of these. Can you say with confidence, did they land on the moon?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Okay.
So this is This is how I explain that, because a lot of people are like, we went to the moon, like 1969. Like, why haven't we gone back? It doesn't make sense. So this is why I explained to them. We went to the moon. We had several missions to the moon, several of the Apollo missions, right? We landed on the moon surface. We went back. They obviously had Apollo 13, where then they didn't go back after that. And then from there, the next goal of the space agency was to establish a consistent human presence in space. So we literally spent the next, 30, 35, 40 years building the International Space Station. There was over 130 shuttle launches, which were lower orbit launches to build the International Space Station, which we still are on today. So obviously that took a long period of time to do. And the last shuttle flew in 2011. So from there, over the last 10 years from the shuttle, they're trying to transition to how can we become more reusable in space travel. And then also, how can we get back to the moon without, losing rockets, as in just first stage where you only can use them once, becoming more reusable. So they spent 10 years dedicating on that and putting out commercial contracts to SpaceX, to Boeing, which are now doing those like consistently, ULA. And now NASA's focused on Artemis. How do we get back to the moon and then eventually get to Mars? So there's a reason, there's a method to the madness. There's a lot of smart people down there, and there's a reason the timeline looked like that, because hey, space travel's not easy. You're taking this rocket, very heavy rocket, and then putting satellites on it, trying to get it off Earth. And then you're putting people on it. That takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of hard work. And, the numbers are wrong. It could lead to something disastrous. So they're doing it the right way, and they're excited about the future in space. And so to answer your first question, we 1,000% went to the moon. And, just talking with them, a lot of the stuff that they learned from just going to the moon is the same stuff they'll be able to use to go and land on Mars as well.
Yeah, I feel like I just had to ask that since you're
Fair
here.
question,
you dealt with NASA, and I believe we landed on the moon. I just know there's so many people out there that are like hold true. Like, hey, we did not go there. I'm like, I figured you'd know better than us, so I
100%.
had to ask.
100%.
I feel like I just sat through like a seminar. Like that was amazing. You are a wealth of knowledge, my man. Okay, well, listen, is that something? Do you see yourself getting more invested into that, like post-football career? Is that what you want to do?
I have post football. I know that, as I said, that's my passion. I spent a lot of time and hard work in it. So I know 10 years down the road, that's something I'll delve into. Of course, now, as I said, I've had the externships, and they've been good to spend that, month in February to go down right when the season ends and kind of recharge your batteries. And it's been refreshing to go from that and use those same, problem solving skills on the football field. So down the road, definitely, I'll dive into that. Now we're just now we are, just making the most of the opportunity to play in the NFL and be a professional quarterback.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not trying to rush your timeline here or anything like that.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good. You're good. You are good.
I imagine that you're probably one of, if not the only, I imagine the only player that your teammates have worked with NASA. So are you the only person that has worked with NASA that has been an NFL quarterback that you know of?
That I know of, yes. There is an astronaut, Leland Melvin, who had a short stint in the NFL, and he is a current active astronaut now. He flew several shuttles. He's gone to the space station. I'm not sure when his next journey is, but he is an active astronaut now. I got a chance to meet him at a SpaceX launch about a year ago, and it's cool, like hearing his story and how he's using, playing the NFL and now being an astronaut to inspire the next generation of athletes who are interested in STEM, and also really good at football, really good at baseball, really good at whatever their sport might be. So, but to your question, as quarterback wise, as far as I know, I'd say I'm a one of one.
That's pretty awesome.
One of one. Hey, I want to ask you too about your merch line that you got there. I see you're wearing the hat right now. I love the design. By the way, I decided that we're going to give one away to one of our followers after we wrap up here. But tell us a little bit about that. When did you start that, and what do we got going on over there?
Yeah, so it's something I've been working on really over the past year and a half. I'm a big hat guy. I enjoy wearing my hats. Grew up with alopecia, so it's just something just in my comfort zone. So My goal is to create a cool hat, a cool patch, and kind of just incorporate everything I'm interested in. I'm interested in fashion, one, of course, and then space, as we've talked about, and then obviously, good looking products. So I wanted to incorporate that, but also just create a brand to continue to inspire people to achieve their dreams. I know my journey to where I've been, is definitely obscure and also hasn't been as easy as it may sometimes look. So just in those moments, I just want to inspire people to, hey, set high goals, work hard every single day to achieve them. Whatever negative thoughts and is thrown your way, just work hard, overcome the adversity, and whatever you set your mind to, you can go out and achieve it. So that was my goal in establishing the brand, building some cool streetwear as well. So I appreciate you guys checking in on the brand and giving it a shout out.
Yeah, it's a very clean
for sure.
hat. Love
As
that.
we're all wearing hats in here right now. I wear
See?
mine because I have the worst hairline this side of Mississippi. I think Tyler just likes hats.
I've just worn hats my whole life.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like everyone just like rocks hats at some point, whether it's the low brim dad hat, the trucker, the snap. We all got our different styles, so I tried to just incorporate all those into our flow.
Yeah, I said I wanted to bring up some of the questions that we got in the comments here, but we're going to wait to do that at the end. We'll do that like the last 10 minutes or so. I'll grab a few of them. Because I want to talk. I messed up already, Josh. We did this completely different than the normal interviews that we do on here, and I'm sorry about that. The first question that I asked everybody that's on here is, what was the NFL draft process like for you? And I completely messed up because I wanted to know about space.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. The draft process, though, it definitely was a doozy. Of course, it's like a 6-month long, really, if you talk about it from start of your senior year, it's like a year-long job interview, where everything that you do is being, looked at and being assessed by the 32 teams in the NFL. For me, my draft process was a little different. I was finishing up my degree that spring. So most people, they hit the bowl game, then they fly off to wherever, Arizona, Cali, Florida, wherever it may be, and like they just go and they just train there until the combine. For me, I had like 6 hours left, so I had to do my senior design class where we had to design, build, fly a model airplane, and then my senior lab for aerospace. So I was training down at IMG. I would be at IMG from Thursday through Sunday training, or Wednesday through Sunday training. My classes were on Monday and Wednesday. So I'll fly back to Knoxville Sunday night. I'll do class Monday, train in Knoxville Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday, class, finish class, fly back down to IMG, train at IMG all weekend, and then fly back. So I was constantly doing that until the Senior Bowl, then doing that until the Combine. So you go to the Combine, and as I'm sure you've heard, the Combine is the most interesting 5 days of our lives. It's like you spend 2 whole days at the hospital, another entire day in an MRI machine, another day getting interviews, and then the 5th day they say, all right, go perform to the best of your ability when we're giving you no sleep and have asked you a trillion questions. So you go through that, and then I ended up finishing up classes, had pro day, and it all culminated with the draft and getting drafted up to Pittsburgh in 2017. So, I guess I'd say the pre-draft process was definitely a gauntlet, but to reap the benefits of it and be drafted into a situation with a phenomenal organization and great fan base, it was definitely well worth, all those long nights for sure.
I feel like it's definitely unique to some of the guys that we've had on that talked about the draft process, because most of them, it's like as soon as the football's over, they're all preparing for the draft, and that's pretty much the only thing that they're doing. I mean, you're finishing an aerospace engineering degree. I mean, that just goes to show how much work that you were putting in.
Correct. Yeah, and it definitely was interesting. Interesting dynamic. A lot of coordination between the place I'm training at, people on campus, getting the right training. Obviously, you still want to get rest and get prepared for the events that you have coming up. So it definitely was a different process, but I definitely had a good group of people around me that and a great wealth of knowledge that they were able to help me jump through the hoops and get me prepared for all the milestones that you have to be prepared for throughout the process.
Yeah, like you brought up when we were talking about when you said about the combine, like we have kind of broadly touched on the combine. I guess I
Mhm.
didn't realize how much time of that was spent. You said at the hospital, like doing the medical stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, the medicals are important, but I didn't realize it was broken down like that.
Well, so the first day you get there, um, the first day you get there, you literally land in Indianapolis, and I think you get there at the night. So then you go to sleep. You wake up the next morning, like 6 a.m., 7 a.m., and you take a bus to the hospital, and you're doing like physicals, blood tests. There's like 20 different stations you have to get through. You gotta keep in mind, I mean, they have a lot of athletes coming in on a daily basis. So the first whole day is at the hospital. The next day, you meet with every NFL team's um, physical training department. So, whether they're doing like shoulder tests, shoulder mobility tests on the quarterbacks, knee tests, hamstring tests, wherever it may be. So, like, you'll do like legit, you'll do one test. You'll do like whatever, like the shoulder test where they take your arm, press down just to make sure your shoulders are strong. And then you'll walk across the room and you'll do the exact same test for the next team. And walk across, do it for the
Oh
next team,
wow.
next team. So it's a whole cycle through. And then if you have any injury history, then they order MRI. So you sit in an MRI machine for whatever they deem you need an MRI for. So that's a whole day. And then the next day you have like all your interviews. You have your media. You have, I think bench press also happens on that day. So it's the goal is, and I feel like they just want to see how you react under distress, because everything's not going to go perfect in the world of football, right? So they want to see how you are able to handle. Or you have all these outside distractions being thrown at you, and now boom, it's time to compete. Can you lock in and focus on the task at hand? So they definitely throw you through the ringer. And at all points, they're assessing, how you walk into the hotel, how you treat everyone. But at the end of the day, just be yourself. As long as you're yourself, everything that's gotten you to where you are will continue to propel you into the next stage of your life. It's that simple, but it definitely is a ringer for sure.
Do you think that, and this has been a debate, that they put too much emphasis on what happens at the combine just one day as opposed to years of tape and gameplay in college? Because, like, I mean, you can stink at football, but if you go out and run a 4.3 at the combine, here's a first round pick right there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the physical attributes are key at the NFL, and that's what gets guys to that level. I do think, there is something to like, hey, what does people's tape look like? How do they actually play the game of football? A lot of people are straight line fast, but how many people are football fast when you're running away from people, you're having to make a guy miss and then run a 40, right? So I know every team has their different assessment. That's why it's been interesting, getting drafted to Pittsburgh and then being around, the scouts and the coaches and seeing what they assess and just how much they put the emphasis on, hey, like, what type of football player are you? How do you react in football situations? We get in a t-shirt, and shorts, anyone can look like the best thing on the field, but how do you react in actual football situation? So every team has their different assessments. But I think and most of the successful teams are putting the emphasis on the right things.
Like the Pittsburgh Steelers, which we kind of touched on already. So let's go back to them. When you get drafted by them, first off, going up through this entire process, did you know that they were interested in drafting you, or was that kind of a surprise? And then also, what was that call like? Because we love those videos.
It's pretty cool. So I'll go back to during the process. I did. So I didn't talk to the Steelers at this. I talked to the GM Colbert at the Senior Bowl, and he said, Coach T would like to meet you. We'll get him sometime through this process. And then I didn't talk to them at the combine, but I did have a visit up to Pittsburgh where I got the chance to spend a day over on the South Side, and then as well they came to my pro day. And Coach Tomlin and Kev were front row at that. So I spent a lot of time with them, had a side meeting with them as well during that time. So I definitely felt the interest coming from Pittsburgh for sure throughout the process. And so, the fast forward to draft day, the call it's a lot of anticipation, just starting the weekend, especially at the quarterback position, because every year, the lay of the land, how guys go, it changes, it varies. You're hearing things, or you could go like late day 1 to day 3, like you don't know when you're gonna get a call. So every time your phone vibrates, rings throughout those 3 days or whatever, you're on edge, you're checking it, you're just staring at the TV, like just watching every pick intently. So it's definitely an anxious period. So to get the call, it's one, just calming. You can stop like staring at the TV. You can stop staring at your phone all weekend. But two, it's really just a dream come true. It's like all the hard work that you've put in up until that point. I started playing football when I was 5. So all the hard work that you put in for what, 15, 18 years by that point, has all come to fruition, and now you're in the NFL, which is good, but also it means like, hey, now you're starting back at ground zero. Now the slate's wiped clean, you've done nothing. Now what type of work ethic are you going to put in to establish yourself on your new team and go in and make a name for yourself? So it's a very emotional weekend, but it's really the start of the next chapter of your career.
Did you know? Did you know how big of a deal the Steelers or just football in general was to Pittsburgh before you got drafted there?
I had an idea, right? I had an idea, just growing up in Atlanta where football is football, right? And then going to University of Tennessee where football is king. I've been in those situations where like I had an idea, but I had never been to Pittsburgh before my visit, right? So I had an idea. I was like, they've always been really good at football, right? Football has to be king, but actually getting to Pittsburgh, the energy is completely different than whatever you thought it was before you got there. And just how much the fans just rally around the team. Those are like you get there day one and like people know you by name, are coming up saying hello, excited for you to be in the city. And I think just that love for football that they have, the love for the team that they have, it definitely goes a long ways. Obviously, now, year 5, right, being in Pittsburgh for going to my 4th year now, I've felt it. I've seen the games. I've been there. I've felt the renegade. So it's my perception obviously is much different now, but it's electric. And I think even then going to Pittsburgh and then leaving and going to Jackson for a year, and then coming back to Pittsburgh, it just makes it even sweeter.
Yeah, I've said this to multiple athletes that have come on this show, and I feel like I'm very biased probably, but I feel like Pittsburgh and its fans care more about its teams and the players on those teams than other cities do.
I mean, for sure. I think you just feel it when you just go out in the community and you interact with people. Like we'll be at the gas station and someone will come and be like, good luck on Sunday. Josh, good luck on Sunday. Just like the simple kindness that the fans and the people of the city show, it definitely does go a long way, and we definitely feel it. It really feels like the Pittsburgh Steelers are like the college football team in the city, and it's really cool. Like all the teams rocking the black and gold throughout the city, so you feel the energy, and we love it for sure. We definitely love it. It was definitely different having an empty Heinz Field this past year because of COVID. So we'll be excited when we can get back to full capacity and get it back jumping.
Yeah, what was that like having to play with no fans? Is that the first time in your life? I mean, it probably is that you ever had to experience that.
Yeah, probably like first time since like Pee Wee, that Thanksgiving game where it's like 10 degrees outside and the parents don't even want to get out the car. This is probably the first time since then. It was a different dynamic. You definitely had to bring your own energy to the games. So we're definitely missing the fans. It'll be good to get them back in there because it's just weird playing in an empty stadium, where you can hear the other team on the sideline just like calling out whatever their calls are, right? Like it definitely was a different dynamic.
Were you a fan of the pumped in crowd noise or no? Would you rather have been dead silent?
The pumped in crowd noise just made it feel more like a game. When it was dead silent, it kind of felt like practice because it's quiet on the practice field. We don't really have a lot of pumped in sound. So it definitely made it seem like a game. Some people, some of the away stadiums got a little. I don't think they're following the little decibel rules on their loudness of their pumped in noise. Yeah, some people had to got to report some. I think we were in Baltimore. Like Ben came to the sideline after one drive. He said, their crowd noise is too loud. And so whoever was in charge of disputing that goes up, and it was too loud. They made them turn it down a little bit. So, but I think it just made it feel more normal. even though it still wasn't normal, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it was all about making you guys just feel natural, I guess. But it was definitely noticeable on TV. Like we could definitely tell.
Can you hear it through the TV?
Mm-hmm. We could tell that the crowd noise, and you could just tell like it was fake because it was like all of a sudden it just got really loud, but it wasn't like natural like a normal crowd is. It was like they pressed a button and
just
like,
turned it on.
Now it gets loud. Yeah.
The most interesting thing is like when someone scores a touchdown, if you weren't paying attention, you would never know anything happened. Like some of the touchdowns, it'd just be a touchdown and then just silence.
Yeah,
it's just so weird, you know. You're used to the stadium about to fall apart because people are jumping on it so loud, and then it was just dead silence. So that was probably the weirdest thing.
Josh, when you came in, when you were drafted by the Steelers, Big Ben, QB1 at the time, still year 5, Big Ben, QB1 in Pittsburgh. What has he meant to your career, and how would you describe his leadership to somebody that asked you that question?
Yeah, I've really enjoyed learning from Big Ben on a daily basis. His football knowledge is unreal. You know, just seeing how he processes information, how he always is getting the offense in the right place, how he like quickly sees what the defense is doing. It's impressive. So like the coolest thing has been, you know, just watching him in practice or watching him in games, seeing how he sees the field, and then taking that mental process and adding it to my game. So I've really enjoyed learning from him. Obviously, I grew up watching him. As we tell him all the time, it's like, yo, we grew up watching. Now he's still playing, still slinging the ball around, right? Playing at a high level. So it's pretty cool to be able to go in and watch a guy for so long, watch a lot of his tape, and then I'll go in and be a teammate and be able to assess, break down film, talk football on the sideline during games, whatever it may be, and have that relationship with him. I really enjoyed it.
He probably doesn't like when you bring up the fact that you grew up watching him because it makes him feel old. I remember that interaction he had with Chase Young last year where he's like, don't do that.
Don't do that. You don't do that. I think like Dwayne's young. I think he just turned like 22 or 23. So like Ben always like just does. He's like, yo, I like been in the league since you were like 6. You know, he always does. He always does the age comparison to us. He's like, I'm the old man in the group. It's funny.
Yeah, I want to ask you about Dwayne because we haven't heard really too much, you know, about his interactions, at least with you guys. I mean, how much have you interacted with Dwayne Haskins since him coming over?
So I've known Dwayne just through the QB role, just a small community, just from high school recruiting. I think actually I was one of his counselors when he was coming up through Elite 11.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I've known Dwayne for a while. And of course, right now, all of our meetings are virtual. So the interactions we have right now have just been virtual. So we'll see. I think, yeah, just exactly like this. You know, just we'll have like a virtual whiteboard come up. We draw up some plays. The film will come up. But this is us. This is us for like 2 hours every single day. So that's been our interaction. And but I'm sure we'll be able to get in soon and be able to actually in person interact and get some work in together as well.
Yeah, so, you know, we talked about you, we talked about Haskins, we talked about Rudolph. That's going to be some great competition as we go into what I think, like, I feel like as fans, we kind of depreciate the preseason because those games don't really mean anything. For you, someone in your position, how important is the preseason and how do you approach it?
Oh, they're crucial. They're crucial. Anytime you're able to go in and get in-game reps, just running the offense, it's crucial. You know, reps are hard to come by at the quarterback position, especially when you're playing behind a guy who's always available on Sundays and been playing for such a long time. So when you get those reps, it's crucial to go in and take advantage of them. And that's how I approach them. So I'm excited this year that we get the preseason. We even get the extra game with the Hall of Fame game as well this upcoming year. And as you said, it's competition. Competition really breeds the best, you know, at least I feel out of me. So good to get back on the field, compete, play football, and just do what we love to do at the end of the day. You know, whether it's preseason, regular season, playoffs, no matter what, you know, it's still football. And there's a lot of pride for myself and my performance, my preparation, and how I compete when I get on the field. So I'll be excited to get a chance to show that.
Something just popped in my mind. I didn't have this in my notes or anything like that, but I was watching Pat McAfee's show earlier. I'm assuming you're familiar with Pat McAfee.
Yeah, for sure.
And Adam Thielen was on there, and he was saying that he expects like the Vikings to actually go into their facility next week. You know, like there's been this talk about OTAs and stuff like that. Have you heard anything as far as like what the Steelers' plan is?
I know we actually have a call coming up, I think tomorrow, to kind of figure it out. I know there's a
Okay.
lot, this offseason's crucial and just, fighting for a lot of things that we feel as players, should be fought for.
Mhm.
So the goal is as a team just to make the right decision for everyone, for everyone's best interest, and also the right decision that's going to prepare us to go out and play well this upcoming fall. So we'll figure out a little bit more as the week goes.
Yeah, Josh, you mentioned the extra preseason game due to you guys playing in the Hall of Fame game. But now you also have the extra regular season game, 17-game season. What are your thoughts on that? Because I know that the players pretty outspoken, at least the guys
Yeah,
that dislike it. So,
yeah, for sure. I think the way I just look at it is it's still a 20-week year. It used to be 4 preseason games and 16 regular season games. Now it's 3 preseason games and 17 games. Of course, it's a little weird. It's just different, and a lot of people don't always like different. When they're so accustomed to a way of doing things. But it's still a 20-week year, and then into playoffs, and then it's an extra game check at the end of the day. So I'm not too opposed with it. I know different guys who have played a lot more snaps than me might be more opposed to it, which in fairness to them, I'd probably have to side with them in that situation. So, yeah, I mean, still 20-week season at the end of the day.
I guess so. When we had Alex Highsmith on here, we were talking with him, and I'll ask you the same question. Do you think that the players would have less issue with it if they were to implement a second bye week?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Definitely, for sure. Because, we get the one bye week and then you get like a pseudo bye week with the Thursday night game. But the issue is like
Mhm.
with the Thursday night game, you play on Sunday and your normal body clock, you're not really ready to feel like you want to play a game until a Friday after a Sunday game. But the Thursday night game happens, speeds up your body clock. So the Monday through whenever the game is stressful and a pain, really, for that preparation. But once you finish the game, it's like, okay, now we're in a bye week. So I think if we had 2 bye weeks, it would solve a lot of the issues just because the football season is long and there's a lot of wear and tear that occurs on your body, whether you're playing every single snap or not. So I think the two bye weeks would be healthy. Of course, they'll add another week to the season. But I think more guys will be able to get through the season healthier.
That was
Yeah, I
something we
mean,
didn't
unless
even
you're,
mention based off last season. Last year, you didn't even really have a bye week because of
I
No,
was gonna
not
COVID.
at
say
all. Not at all.
that was
Not
actually
at
what one of the people. So we can just ask that now because Ken in the comments said, "How much did all the postponements for Thanksgiving week against the Ravens affect the team?"
I'd say, I mean, we had 2. We had the Titans game where our Ravens and Titans game got flipped, and we were pushed into a bye week that we weren't ready for. I mean, it's like week 3 in the season. Um,
Hmm.
so then I think like that 11-game gauntlet. Of course, we ran the table for the most part, but I mean that 11-game gauntlet, is long for anyone. So, and then of course like the Ravens games, like every single day, because you just have a way you do things, a way you prepare. If I'm preparing for the Ravens game was going to be on Thursday, I'm preparing for the Thursday night game. This is how we prepare, right? Then it gets pushed back all the way to the next Wednesday. But it wasn't like, hey, you're going to play next Wednesday. It was, hey, you're going to play Sunday. Hey, you're going to play Monday. Hey, you're going to play Tuesday. Okay. Hey, you're going to play Wednesday. I think it's just that are we getting our mindset to play today? Yes or no? I think just that just kind of messes with people because just in our line of business, we enjoy that certainty. We're like, hey, whatever could happen between Sunday and Sunday, whatever. But Sunday, at 1 o'clock, we have a game. Be prepared then to play. Then that certainty allows us to go out and perform at a high level. And when you have that uncertainty, when you don't know you're going to perform, it just makes the preparation a little bit more difficult. But at the end of the day, we were mentally tough squad, and we were still able to go out and come out victorious in both of those games.
Yeah, it's rare that we have a guy on here. This is kind of flipping the script a little bit that was traded out of Pittsburgh and then found his way back. So because we've had Mink on here, but he was traded in. Like this is a
Mm-hmm.
different circumstance than what he went through. So walk us through that whole process of being traded from Pittsburgh to Jacksonville. That was right after the Foles injury, right? That's why they were looking for quarterback help.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
So Nick Foles is injured week 1. We played the Patriots the Sunday night game. So we get back to Pittsburgh. I wake up the next morning to a call from the Steelers saying that I was getting traded to Jacksonville. So I get traded to Jacksonville, and you show up on Tuesday, and they're like, here's a playbook. Be ready to play quarterback on Sunday. And
Yeah.
it's just I think I sat in the complex because I was staying in a hotel, right? I'm staying in a hotel down the street. I got a whole playbook to learn. I don't know anyone, so I just sat in the complex like the entire week and just stared at the playbook, just trying to pick it up as fast as possible, walk through plays, get the mental reps, get prepared for practice, just get ready to recite a new play and new terminology, because every single playbook's like a different language. It's like you spoke French for 3 years, then it's like, hey, go to Spain and try to get around. That's exactly like the comparison it is. So it was an interesting process, but was able to get prepared, and then obviously like go through a year there, and then go through a camp there where had a very good camp, but for whatever reason, they didn't deem me as could help their team. So ended up back in Pittsburgh, and then they come back. It definitely was a whirlwind. But I learned a lot through the process, just how to quickly mentally process a playbook and learn a new playbook given the circumstances. Two, just how different organizations are run. From Pittsburgh, that's been established, been successful for so long, to a Jacksonville, which is up and coming and working to be an established franchise as well. So it definitely was two very different dynamics. It definitely was an interesting time just in my life, and just with adversity and learning how to overcome it. Because for many of us, we've always been the guy on their team, just from the time we were 5 till throughout college and even into the league. So just to handle the process, getting traded, and then leaving Jacksonville, and then coming back to Pittsburgh, just the mental gymnastics that you can put your mind through. So just processing all of that, it definitely was a great growth moment for me, for sure, on that entire process. And I'm definitely excited to be back in Pittsburgh, of course.
People try to take the human element part out of it, but like when you got traded, were you kind of bummed out, or were you just like, okay, knowing that Foles went down, thinking, okay, I'm gonna have a much greater opportunity potentially in Jacksonville? Because no one saw what Gardner Minshew did happening when that happened. Yeah,
I mean, Gardner, give him his credit. He balled out, and it was exciting to see. I was happy for him as well. Of course, I thought, at the time, I was like, okay, boom. Now I'm going to an opportunity where I could play immediately. Right. And that's what the coaches were saying even when I got down there. So I was excited about the opportunity. Obviously, the timing, then the next week, Ben ends up getting injured in the Seattle game, and Mason starts into action. It's like, okay, I was in Pittsburgh, would I be playing there? It's like that mental gymnastics. Obviously, anyone, for the most part, you're bummed when you get traded, especially at the time when it happened. Week 2 of the season, now learn a whole new playbook, right? When you've just been preparing off season to run the Steeler offense. So there's a whole bunch of dynamics going through your head. And as you said, I think people often just forget the human side of it. At the end of the day, we're still, although we're athletes, we're playing the sport that we love at the highest level, trying to achieve our goals and dreams. There's still a lot of adversity that we are placed in or still have to work to overcome. And so you just got to take it on the chin and keep moving forward, focus on what you can control, and make the most of the opportunities when they're given to you.
For sure. But you made the decision this offseason then to re-sign with the team on a new 1-year deal. So what was that process like? Were there other suitors? Did you just feel like the opportunity was better here than some other places, or what all went through that process?
Yeah, obviously, it was a weird year in every situation, from positional situations across the league to cap situations across the league. So my thought process was, I was been excited to be back in Pittsburgh, and his offense that I'm comfortable in. I know I can run at a high level, and also a staff and teammates that I'm comfortable with as well, and a QB room that I enjoy. I knew I would be excited to be back in Pittsburgh, and it all worked out to be back for another year.
Love it. Tyler, were you about to say something?
Yeah, I'm curious. Just being a quarterback on the Steelers, what do you think of the being able to bring Juju back, drafting a guy like Najee Harris? How exciting is it that you guys are getting these pieces to add to the offense?
Definitely some studs. It's exciting. Obviously, watched Najee beat up on my balls, a little too much. I got to talk to him about that. But to get Juju back, of course, to add to Chase Claypool going into his second year, Deontay, really hitting his stride last year and going to continue to improve this year, and James Washington, who's electric outside as well. It's definitely a fun skill group to play with. So I think we have a lot of weapons on offense, and we have an exciting new offensive coordinator that's going to establish ways to put guys in the best decision, to let them go out, get the ball in their hands, and make plays. So it's exciting. It's exciting. I'm definitely excited to get the practice so we can start to mesh, get ready to go, and then hit the season in stride.
I have a couple more things before I bring up some of the comments that we have in the chat. So, and this actually wasn't on here, but just as you brought up Matt Canada, I feel like we started to kind of see more of his influence. We saw his influence early on. I feel like it kind of went away. Saw it back again towards the end of the season. When you had that game where it seemed like you just had like a certain package created for yourself, is that something that you think we're going to see potentially more of this year? Is it something that we're going to test out in the preseason? Is it a role that you think that you could have going forward?
I think there definitely is something there. I know Coach Canada wanted to establish a package and continue just to utilize my skill set, both throwing the ball and running the ball. So I'm sure he has some stuff up his sleeves, some stuff he probably doesn't want me telling everyone. We got
oh no
31 other teams trying to prepare for us and everything. No, but I'm sure it's something that we can utilize, and night and day, however I can help the team win, that's my role, and I'll be excited to take on that role this year.
Speaking of your role, so what is like the normal game day look for you? What's your routine like on a game day?
Routine on a game day. So I guess I'll keep it easy. A 1 o'clock game, for instance, be breakfast at the hotel, probably around 9. Get to the stadium 9:30, 10, and then you're in your pregame. So you're getting your stretch, getting taped, foam rolling, just getting in the zone, going through. I guess I'll rewind. I usually like to wake up and walk through the game plan in my head, because there's a lot of stuff that's very specific, especially at the quarterback position, just like where our eyes are going to be pre-snap, or what we're looking for certain plays, or which plays are we getting in and out of based on the look. So I have to just go through the game plan, walk through each play to just put myself mentally getting those reps. And making that decision, in your hotel room, so I was able to quickly translate to the field from all your preparations throughout the week. So, boom, fast forward, get to the stadium, go through, warm up, get your body ready to go. Then I did go on the field, and everyone has a way that they do it. I have my own personal throwing routine where I just like to get as many throws as possible that you're going to make throughout the game, or just simple throws. And then, from there, it's going back in. I usually, I'm a big chess guy right now, so I really enjoy. I think that just gets my mind really stimulated. So I like to play a couple games of chess on my phone, and then from there it's kind of just relaxing and getting ready to go.
I thought when you said about playing chess, I thought maybe there were a few guys on the team that you would play chess against. I was to say they probably don't stand a chance.
We actually started getting a little chess club going last year. The nights before the game, I have like a portable chessboard I'll bring. It's called a poison pawn board. So we'll walk around. And it rolls up. It's very portable. So we would play sometimes on the plane, and then in the hotel, wherever at night until bed check. So it was good. It was fun.
Who's some of the guys in the club?
Yeah.
So let's see. So like Chukes was in the club, offensive tackle. Ola, he was in the club. Robert Spillane started to join in on the club. We'll play in the locker room as well. So like Tuitt will come over and play. Different guys would come in and see if they could take me on, throughout the times there.
Did you ever lose?
No, it's fun. I'd say no, I didn't. But I honestly, Chooks beat me once. I might have did it for his, personal morale, so I could continue to play him moving forward. But don't tell him I said that.
Yeah, I was gonna say otherwise, no one's gonna keep coming down.
Let him beat you. That way he won't let you get sacked.
You gotta give him a nibble. You gotta give him a little taste.
You give him a little nibble, and then when they start bringing out the money and everything, then it changes from there.
Speaking of routines, do you have any superstitions that you need to perform on a game day, or maybe they might even be something that you don't even know that you do that other people notice you do?
Superstition. No, I'm not very superstitious. I just believe that if you just prepare, if you just try to put yourself in every situation throughout the week, then everything will fall into place. So obviously, I like my routine, as I said. I try not to veer off of that, but superstitious, no. But there are some superstitious people, that I've seen and come in contact with, like coaches and stuff, are like, okay, you have to do this like this exact way because it worked last time. I'm like, yo, that has nothing to do with the game. The game's going to be the game when we get out there. So I try to stay away from that. But I do really enjoy the routine. I just think, when you have a routine, you can trust in that routine. It just gives you more confidence when you get out on the field.
Do you have any pregame meal that is like the exact same every single time?
Pregame meal, though, yeah, I get morning games. I get 2 omelets scrambled with tomato, spinach, and cheddar cheese. Gotta get the extra cheese. And then we have a night game. I get the omelet again, but then I add like a pancake and a steak. So I try to get everything, get my sugars, my energy, some protein, but I try to eat the same thing. And the coolest part, like when we travel to other cities, they have the best hot pancake bars ever. So like you go down, you get like these fresh, nice, fluffy hot pancakes. They got the syrup that's nice and hot, and people definitely go to town on the pregame food bar for sure.
Speaking of traveling to other cities, do you have any favorite cities outside of Pittsburgh, of course, that you like to travel to?
You talking about for games or just
Yeah,
in
forget
general?
like
Okay,
NFL.
like so, I guess a really cool place to play was Kansas City. Obviously you can get to go, you get good barbecue, and then the stadium's rocking. So that's it's probably one of my faves. And outside of that, I'd say Kansas City, Dallas, and then just Florida. It's just always good to be down in the nice warm weather. And then I will have to say like Atlanta. Being in Jacksonville, we got to play the Falcons last year. My first time like in the NFL going and playing the Falcons, and just growing up in Atlanta, it was pretty cool being down in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
All right, so Josh, we want to get to some of these YouTube comments because I saw people were asking them earlier. We didn't ask any of them really, unless it was by chance. So
Okay.
people are tuning in. They deserve to have some of their questions answered. The first one, man, it's from the person that edits our YouTube videos, Sarge. So are you familiar with Mikey and Big Bob?
Mikey and Big, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
from 96.1 Kiss.
Yes.
Yeah. So they were having a conversation about which fast food sandwich could be thrown the farthest. And they actually brought up your name while having this discussion.
Okay.
Because Mikey actually has like a history of concussions, and he was talking about what would happen if you threw a burrito as hard as you could at his head. Would it give him a concussion? I thought that maybe that you were in on this, but apparently you weren't because you have no clue what I'm talking about. And
Not at all.
When we tweeted that we were having you on, I tweeted Mikey and said, "Should I bring this up to Josh?" And he sent me back a GIF of this guy like waving no, but I told him it was happening anyway.
I gotta throw a burrito at him next time I see him. We gotta put this to the test. I think though that the fast food sandwich you go far is easily like a McDonald's, a Steak and Shake double cheeseburger #1. Like they pack those bad boys in so tight when you get them, and they wrap them up nice and tight. You can sling it. It feels like a baseball. Like you could frisbee it, throw it.
So is that the key? It has to. You think as opposed to a regular burger, it probably has to be a smash burger.
For sure, it definitely has to be smashed. Like if you did like a Chick-fil-A sandwich, I think that's too much. It's too big of a surface area. Bringing in the engineering, too big of a surface area. The wind's just gonna knock that one down. McDonald's, I think that's like a close second. I think like Wendy's are too thick. Their patties too thick, so I don't think it's gonna go that far.
They were even like throwing breakfast sandwiches into the conversation. I think Mikey's what he ended up picking was like the sausage McGriddle or something like that.
I could see that one. That was nice and thin. That was nice and thinly packed. I could see the sausage McGriddle getting a good distance on it.
Okay. So that's the key, is it's got to be condensed.
I think it has to be condensed. And like a lot of cheese, so it like sticks together. I think that's crucial too.
Yeah, this is an absolutely wild conversation that we're having, by the way. I mean, I wasn't expecting to spend this much time on it, but this is great conversation. I haven't even looked at the new comments. I'm assuming people are probably having a field day with this. Okay, first, I have to ask if I mean, why wouldn't you be? But are you like chicken wings?
Oh, I enjoy a chicken wing. Yeah. What's up?
Okay, that was a little bit hesitant because someone asked what your favorite wings in Pittsburgh were.
See, I had a feeling that was going to happen, and I wasn't going to have an answer. That's the reason I was a little hesitant. I don't honestly like. I like chicken wings. I wouldn't say like chicken wings are like at the top of my list. I have some great restaurants in Pittsburgh though that are really jump off at me. Like,
well, okay, let's switch the question then. Hit us with some of those. What are your favorite places to eat in Pittsburgh?
so I live over in Shady Side, and I feel like Shady Side just has like the best
That's what we
food
hear.
in the
That's what we
city.
hear.
You know, so the place right next to me is called Paris 66. Phenomenal. You get the
I feel
steak
like
and
I've
fries.
heard of that. I've never had it, but I feel like I definitely heard that before.
Really good. Like you go in there, everyone speaks French. The owners are from Paris. You know, it feels very culturally
Authentic.
Yeah, very authentic. I also like Gyrosoli over on Walnut Street. That's one of my faves. Get some good pasta. Soba is right down the street. That's a good one. Switch it up, maybe get some sushi. And then I said like my common like I love burgers, so my go-to burger spot is the Yard in the Burg.
There you
They
go.
have mac and cheese
Finally.
too.
Okay, now you mentioned one that I know. Now we're on the same page.
One that we're familiar with.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got good mac and cheese. I'm trying
Those
to give you
other
guys
ones.
the underground spots.
Those other ones that you mentioned, I'm gonna have to look up and potentially hit.
Okay, well, this is another one that I always ask people since we're talking about restaurants. Have you been to Pepe's?
Oh
before?
no, my God, I knew it was coming.
Pepe's?
Yeah, it's a sandwich place. I know there's one like in the Strip. There's one on the north side, kind of near Heinz Field. So obviously, Primanti's is the famous Pittsburgh sandwich. But if you ask me and Smitty as well, we'll tell you like Pepe's is our favorite sandwich in Pittsburgh.
I just want to be able to keep doing.
Yeah, Peppi.
Okay. Pepe's.
I really enjoy doing a Pittsburgh podcast, and I don't want that to have to stop because we always talk about Pepe's over Primanti's.
Yeah, listen, it's just
Primanti's will come for you guys
until they sponsor us. It is what it is. I mean, but I mean, it's a cool feels like just like a very like Pittsburgh restaurant because you walk in and there's just like tons of pictures of like athletes and like celebrities that have just come in and like eaten at Pepe's before. They're like signed pictures and everything. I mean, it's really good. So I would suggest going there if you ever find the chance.
I'll add that to my list. I needed a couple of new spots when I get back up there, so I'll check that one out.
Also, just going back to wings real quick, bone in or boneless?
Oh,
bone in. Bone in.
Good.
Oh, you can't. Bone in.
Thank you.
I'm a drum guy too. I'm an all drums guy. I just feel like the flats are too hard to eat sometimes. I just like the drums, but definitely bone in.
Hey,
honestly, with a guy as smart as you saying that, I might switch up my theory.
But to switch up, it's less work. You get less dirty.
As long as you said bone in, that's the main thing.
Yeah, that's the big.
Because let's be real, boneless wings are chicken nuggets.
Yeah, that's all it
is. They're chicken tenders.
Okay, that's it. The debate's over. This is the smartest person that we're going to talk to on here, and he just agreed with it. So we bring this up somehow way too often. This might as well be a food podcast, but that's beside the point. Now that you've agreed with us on it, that can put it to an end. Wayne wants to know what your favorite planet is besides Earth.
Favorite planet?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's Mars because it's like actually obtainable to go there. So it's so fascinating. It's like we could actually, but we could literally actually build a civilization on another planet. Like that's just stuff you see in movies. And we are probably 10, 15 years away from that. Like from you guys just walking outside and just looking up saying, yeah, people live on Mars right now. Like, is that obtainable? So I think that's.
So you think you think this happens in our lifetime?
That's actually a question I was going to ask. Is like, when do you think that we would actually like get to Mars first of all, and then be able to like live there as well? But you just kind of answered it.
Without a doubt, I think the timetable that they have is a little fast. Like they're saying like boots back on the moon 2024, and then 4 years later, like we're going to Mars. So what? That's 7 years from now. I don't know if it's that soon, but I like in the next decade and a half, I'd say you're gonna be like, yo, like there's people going to Mars or
Do you
about to
think
go
that,
to Mars.
do you think the boots on moon at 2024, that's the realistic part though?
Definitely. I think that
Yeah.
I think that's a very accurate timeline just by what they're doing. I know COVID really slowed them down just in their process, but they're getting ready to launch the first Artemis rocket, which won't have people on it, but it's just to go up, go to the moon, go around the moon, come back. So they're about to launch that one. Then from there, I think the ball will get rolling. That's just NASA. I mean, then you have SpaceX, like Boeing, Blue Origins. They're all doing their own thing. So they could get there before NASA, and they're moving at an unreal rate right now.
You know, there was like the space race back with like the Soviet Union and the United States and everything back then. Is there kind of like a space race itself, like with SpaceX, NASA, and all these other companies, like trying to get up there first?
Definitely, and it's turned more competitive just because of all the commercial companies that are getting into the industry. You know, before it's just like NASA versus Russia, just two countries, so they had to go at the government agencies' pace. Now it's commercial companies that can throw as much money as they want to or can, or as much manpower as they can into it. And as long as they're within NASA's regulations, they can test as much as they want and, actually push to getting the results. So I think it's definitely sped up the process. I mean, what people don't know, like SpaceX launches a rocket like once a week, once every 2 weeks down there. So they're constantly
Elon's a
testing,
nut.
launching. He's launching them, and then he's landing the first stage rocket like on land or out on a barge, bringing it back, cleaning it up, and launching it again. It's incredible. It truly is
Yeah.
incredible. So I think because of that tempo that Elon has, it's making everything get more competitive, and it's making people try to achieve those milestones faster.
I'm curious, just before we, I don't know what the next question is, but before we move on from Mars, you would know since you're the engineer, but like, how long is the flight to Mars? Like with people that's going to be on it. How do you have any idea how long that would take?
Yeah, I think I remember they told me. I just don't want to say something that's not accurate. But I think
Oh
it's
yeah.
like a year or 2 years. I think around 2 years was the time period. They had
Okay.
two different timetables. They had a cargo timetable, which is quicker because obviously you're not transporting living beings. You don't have to carry oxygen. The weight of the cargo is much less. And then you have like the human, like how long it actually takes to transport a human, which was about double the time. So I think the human timetable was about 2 years or maybe a little less, like 18 months.
And the moon, well, at least back when they went into the moon, that was about 3 days, right?
Yeah, about 3 days. I think that's still pretty consistent just because
Okay.
like they were still shooting like now it's just more automated where the computer does the navigation, but the thrust, the equations, the rocket, that's still pretty similar. I mean, they might have a more powerful rocket, but I still think it takes around the same amount of time.
Okay.
But yeah,
We might
3 years,
change the name of
3
this
days in a
podcast.
capsule.
Dude, I love this stuff. I mean, we mainly talk about sports, occasionally food, obviously, but I mean, this is the first time
Sometimes
we
the
really talked about.
military.
Yeah, we had a friend we talked about the military, but this is the first time we talked about space. I mean, so we just love soaking it all in.
My dad is going to absolutely love this conversation.
Really?
When he watches this back. Yeah.
I
He's a
love that.
space nut. I got one last question for you, and then we can let you go. We've taken up way too much of your Monday evening.
Oh,
I was
you
not
guys are
expecting
good.
this.
It's been a blast.
So Derek, I don't think Derek was in here at the beginning when I was asking you about potentially what you would want to get into after your football playing career was over. He said, would you ever consider a role in coaching once your playing career comes to an end? We all know, I believe there was a play against Cleveland when Ben threw a touchdown to James Washington that he kind of credited you for that, but he's always kind of talked up your mind and what you see on the football field and how you're able to break the game down. So would you ever consider a role in coaching?
Definitely. I think you've given so much to a sport and you've played it for so long, the physical side of it and the mental side of it. There's beauty on both sides to it. And then also, a big part of just who I am is also inspiring, the next generation, whether it's quarterbacks or just student athletes. So I think a coach. I've had a lot of coaches that have helped me get to where I am. So I think it'll be always be cool to give back to the next generation of, football players. So it's definitely something that's on my list of things that to dive into or might want to dive into. Because I just love football. So, whenever I'm done, I know I will still want to be around it, and I think that's the best way to be around it as well.
It kind of sounds like you're talking about like at a lower level though, right? Like, youth football as opposed to, at the pro level.
Yeah, I don't, I haven't put a lot of thought into like being a professional coach. Um, that all of our coaches, the amount of time that they put in to, just game planning and preparing us to be able to just come in to work and be ready to go is incredible. So, I don't know. I just haven't really thought like, hey, do I want to be a professional coach? Because I know like just what goes into that, as well as the process of getting there. There's a lot of people in it. Have paid their dues and have been coaching for a long time to get a shot at the professional level. So I don't know, but I have a lot of stuff on my radar. Not to say I want to get into it. Not to say it's something I'm not interested in. I still think it'll be still a great way to be around the game and give back to the game as well. All that to say is it's on my radar, but I don't have a definitive yes or no answer, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. Don't never say never.
Never say never. You can't, right? Just gotta keep an open mind sometimes. You never know what the future holds.
Absolutely.
So I've got a couple quick questions just to wrap up with. One is just going back to college a little bit. I was curious, you chose Tennessee. Did you choose that because it was great for football and for your degree? I mean, I know about the football with Tennessee, but I really don't know about the aerospace engineering at Tennessee, so I figured that out.
That definitely went into my decision making. Aerospace engineering is not like a lot of schools have engineering, but the specific discipline of aerospace engineering, not a lot of schools have that. So that was crucial. I wanted to be able to go to a school where I could major in aerospace engineering, not mechanical with subset aerospace. Like I wanted to be an AE in school, as we call it in the engineering world. So that was important to me. And then obviously the opportunity to play for a prestigious program, as well as to play early. Like I played freshman year through senior year. So all that went into account. And then I think the most important thing, as well as those two things, was I just wanted to feel at home. At the end of the day, I think a lot of student athletes commit to a school for a coach or a person, whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, I committed to Tennessee because they had what I wanted to study. I had an opportunity to play for one of the most prestigious football programs in the country. And I knew that if for some reason I wasn't playing football, I still would love going to school at the University of Tennessee. So those three things were important to me. It felt like home, and it all worked out. So to answer your question, Tennessee does have a very good aerospace program. So anyone out there, if you guys are looking for a school to study aerospace engineering, University of Tennessee should be on your radar for sure.
Yeah, write that down. I'm sure there's a ton of people in here right now that are thinking about getting into aerospace engineering, and now Tennessee put that at the top
on
the
their
list.
radar.
Yeah. All right. Last thing from me is, I guess it's two questions, but they're kind of relatively quick. One, would you, if you had the opportunity to go into space, would you even have to think about it? Or is the answer just yes right away? And then two, what is your most interesting fact that you can tell us about space?
So if I had the opportunity to go into space, where I think about, I would consider it. I think I would go. I was talking to Leland actually one time down there, and he's like, a lot, or one of the engineers is like, a lot of astronauts want to go, and my first instinct is to say yes, I want to go. But you also have to think about the people around me, like my family and everything, and who that decision impacts. But my gut would say to go. I think if you have the opportunity to go to space, there's only been in comparison to the amount of human beings that lived during this era, there's only been a handful that have had the opportunity to go to space. So if I had that opportunity, I think I would have to jump on it and run with it. And then the most interesting fact I can tell you about space.
Interesting, unique, just anything that you can think of. Or just most fun fact.
I mean, whatever you tell us, we're probably not going to know.
Yeah,
so it might be common knowledge, but we're to be like, oh, wow.
So I think so. All right, the coolest. So like, I guess a cool thing that's going on right now that a lot of people don't know. I guess so at SpaceX, I said they're launching rockets, like once every week or 2 times every week. So like a cool thing that they're doing, like Elon Musk is building basically like universal Wi-Fi. So launch a rocket into lower orbit, which is just the orbit closest to Earth, where you're still orbiting the Earth in the atmosphere, and it'll put a satellite up. And so he's basically just creating a network of satellites all across our atmosphere. So like you could be anywhere and have Wi-Fi. So you get to the point where like you could be in the middle of the mountain with no cell phone connection, where you have Wi-Fi from this array of satellites. And then he's taking the first stage booster. And sometimes it'll be like a Dragon Heavy. So it's 2 first stages, and he'll land them. Like people don't realize how hard that is. Like he'll just land them, whether it's on a barge or on land. And the videos of it, if you guys haven't gone down the YouTube rabbit hole to see it, just like type in SpaceX landing first stage rockets, and it's incredible. He'll land them and then just scrub them off and then do it again. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So I just wanted to something everyone could relate to. Of course, I can get into like the math, like Holman transfers, non-Holman transfers, all that stuff I learned in astronautics, but some of that stuff I'm still trying to grasp it. So I don't want to put anything over anyone's head too much.
I mean, I know some of these words.
You're past that. You're past that. Tyler, you said that was it for you. You don't have anything else?
That was good. I just wanted to ask a couple more space questions while you were here.
Josh, my man, we can't tell you how much we appreciate your time. Obviously, taking this much time out of your Monday evening to come and chat with us about football and about space and stuff that we have very little knowledge of. But I feel like after this, I don't know. I think a smarter person after having this conversation. And Derek agrees with me. I'm at least 5 times smarter after this, to be honest, is what he said.
Well, no problem. Well, thank you for my TED Talk. I appreciate it. In seriousness, thank you guys for having me. Smitty, Tyler, appreciate you guys and all the good that you do and how much you promote the Steelers. So we definitely appreciate you having us on.
Hey, I think the most important thing we learned is that a number 1 from Steak and Shake is the sandwich that you can throw the farthest.
One Steak and Shake, you might knock someone out with that thing.
Last thing, I see we said that we're all hat guys. What do you think about our hats? Do you like our logo, or is it?
I love the circular logo. That's my thing. I love that with the 412 sticking out. I love that.
Yeah. I might have to get your information after this. I'll send you out one if you want one. We got a bunch of different styles.
We'll exchange them. I see you're a trucker guy, so I'll send. And then Tyler's a dad hat guy. I see.
I am a dad hat.
So I'll have to send one of each your guys' way.
Hey, awesome.
Well, we appreciate that. Yeah, definitely. I'll hit you up when we wrap this up. But like I said, can't appreciate you enough, man. We love what you do. We love everything about you. Like I said, I don't know that we're gonna have somebody on here ever again that touches your IQ level. So we appreciate you taking time out of your Monday. We look forward to following your journey on and off the football field, and just keep doing what you're doing, man.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you. You guys have a good evening. God bless always.
Yep, you too.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Make me quit making me read on the screen.
I had to hurry up and change. I didn't do that on purpose. All right. Anyway, Steelers quarterback Josh Dobbs. That was awesome. That was very informative. I feel like we had a good balance there. Football, space. We kind of knew it was going to be that way, but good mixture of conversation.
I mean, listen, we are a sports podcast first and foremost, but when we get the opportunity to talk to somebody that has worked on rockets, we're obviously going to talk about space. Let's be real, people.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I could throw a football, not nearly as well as Josh Dobbs, but I could throw a football. I would not have been able to come in.
I can't tell a rocket how to fly.
No, but I know I say it a lot, and it kind of a general statement at this point. But that was really fun. That had to be one of our better interviews, I think, that we've had.
Oh yeah, for sure. That was a lot of fun. I mean, and then we got into the questions after, like the food stuff. He's a bone-in guy, so automatically
that's massive. That's his stock is the arrow is pointing up. The arrow is pointing up for him after learning that.
Yep, and he's going to try.
I wouldn't be surprised if he takes over Ben's spot. Ben might be QB2 on the depth chart.
No, I mean, I guess we're going to have to find if Ben's a boneless guy, you might as well just replace him right away.
No, but yeah, Peppies. That's the big thing. We got to give him the Peppies, feel him out, how he's feeling about that, and then.
And for Manny's, we still love you. Just so you guys know.
Derek said relaxed. So to wrap this up, I want to So we found out, we got wind today of something that's going on with somebody in the Pittsburgh community. A GoFundMe has circulated. If you guys know Jason Kaufman, better known as the Angry Fan, he's been diagnosed with advanced liver disease. And like I said, there's a GoFundMe page that's flying around. Every time I refresh the GoFundMe, it's more and more money that's been raised. It's over $8,000 now. They've actually just recently increased the goal because of how much it's raised so far. I'm going to share this in the chat. You guys, obviously, if you can donate, please do. But more importantly, just share it, because you don't know whose eyes are going to catch wind of that and who's going to be able to donate. This is, we met through the Pirates pretty much. Anytime that we would go to a Pirate game and be out in left field with the people that they call the Loonies, he was one of those people, and you could just have a great conversation with him about baseball. But beyond baseball, I mean, he is a huge asset to the Pittsburgh community. When the vaccines began, rolling out, he was literally up at night. And keep in mind that this guy works a regular job and has to get up early. He would be on past midnight every single night, just going on, checking for vaccine openings and making sure that elderly people were getting in and getting appointments to get their vaccine shots. So this guy, one of the more selfless people that I've ever come across, and now he needs some help. Obviously, he's just going to have medical bills on medical bills throughout this process. So if you guys can help out, please do so. But more importantly than anything, just share the mission and help get eyes on it. Like I said, it's raised over $8,000 now. They've changed the goal to be 15,000. I believe it started around 10,000. But anything that you can do to help the mission, please do so. And our thoughts are with Jason and Stacy and their whole family.
Yeah. Sad news. Was that today that was announced as well?
Yeah, I believe that we just got. They've probably known for a few days.
Yeah.
And they didn't start the GoFundMe themselves. It was a friend of their family that did.
Mm-hmm.
So they weren't even asking for help themselves. And that kind of goes to show you the type of people they are. They would never do that. But yeah, I believe that Twitter just caught wind of it today because the GoFundMe was started.
Well, yeah, Jason, he's a great guy. Like you said, anytime we see him at Pirates games, he always said, "What's up?" I feel like I always saw him in the Willie Stargell.
Trying to get us to go to a live podcast at a Wild Things game.
At a Wild Things game. Yeah, he did. But yeah, he's a great guy on Twitter. He is known as the Angry Fan, but he is not an angry person for sure. He's a really nice person.
There was a few seasons, the 2013 to 15, where he had to change his name to the Happy Fan.
Yeah.
However, for the time being, he's back to angry. Hopefully that won't be that case for too much longer.
Yeah. But yeah, any eyes that can get on this thing, even if you can't donate, just retweet, share, whatever you can do. Anything helps.
Another cause that I want to talk about just real quick as we wrap up here. When we had Jeff and Danny from Penn's blog on a couple weeks ago, I asked Jeff about costumes for courage. It was a mission that he and his sister and a couple other people in the family had started because his niece was going through cancer treatments at just 5 years old. And the idea is she would always dress up as a princess to go to her treatments and just kind of like be a light in the room for everybody else. And now, because of what she did, they want to be able to do that for other kids. So if you are a parent and your child is going through these types of treatments, you can reach out to them, tell them what costume that your kid wants to wear, and they can show up being a superhero to their treatments because they really are superheroes. So you can check all that out at costumesforcourage.org. Or you can obviously go to Jeff's Twitter, at Jeff with an O, and he spells his name wrong, by the way, Geoff with an O. You can check out his Twitter and all the information will be there as well. But we talked about it a little bit on here. I just want to bring awareness to it again because it's a great cause, and us, we're always about that. So once again, anything that you guys can do, whether it's just checking it out, sharing the mission, they do have a way to donate to them because they obviously have to buy these costumes. Please do so. Jeff, Another great guy.
Yeah, we know a lot of great people
throughout Pittsburgh. Yeah,
tons
of a lot of great people.
We talked to one tonight. We've just multiple that we interact with on Twitter on a daily basis. It's a great time and it's great people.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad things that have gone on it's crazy that it's been over a year, man, but year plus. But you really see the good in people, and we've seen the good in people, throughout this last 14 months or so.
And that's what's great about Pittsburgh sports is it brings all these people together. I mean,
sorry, that sound. So it's not to cut you off. Sorry to stop hitting your mic. If I set my phone down because of my arm for my mic, it kind of like rattles it and makes a vibration. I forget about it sometimes, and I'll like slam my phone.
Yeah, well, don't do that.
I'll try not to from here on out.
Lost my train of thought, but what was I saying? You just kind of
we were talking about all the good people in Pittsburgh over the last 14 months.
Yeah, the great thing about Pittsburgh, like Pittsburgh sports and like social media and like connecting through that, is that a lot of the people that we interact with on a daily basis now, like we wouldn't know if it weren't for Pittsburgh sports or Twitter or anything like that. So it's just a great that we're able to. I mean, this podcast wouldn't be a thing if it wasn't for social media. So the fact that we're able to communicate and interact with all these people and see all the great things that people do is share those and share all these causes. It's awesome.
Another great person that we know, Keats Barbershop. Shout out to one of our sponsors, Keats Barbershop, an old-fashioned barbershop located at 180 Brighton Avenue in Rochester, PA. He's open 11 to 7 Tuesday through Friday and 10 to 4 on Saturday. Every Tuesday, he has $5 off for military personnel, first responders, and nurses. We mentioned earlier that we sometimes have a conversation about the military. By the way, it's only happened once, so I don't know why I said sometimes earlier. But it was when Christian came on during the Wing Bash, and we ended up talking to him just about like stories of things that happened in the military for like 45 minutes. Yeah, go Army. And finally, Viget. I'm going to keep pushing this guy down your guys' throat until you download the app. Use the word Crowworthy, CROWWORTHY. You could just look at the logo at the top. I don't really have to tell you how to spell it.
Space in between.
Space in between, just like there is at the top as well. And then reach out to us when you download the app, and we will get you on our leaderboard. You can see you bet coins. You don't bet actual money, so that's good because I would be pretty badly in the hole on a month-to-month basis.
I would be broke right now if compared to what I was betting coins wise. I'd be rough.
And you can see where you rank, amongst the hosts of Around the 412 in our community. So be sure to do that. And like I said, you bet coins, not real money.
Try to win a PS5. If you do good
to win a PS5, yeah, good luck with that. But there's a social media aspect to betting. Essentially, that's their mission, and it's an awesome map.
That's the thing. You can bet. There's a chat. We could talk trash on each other.
Yeah,
anything like that. But you can also win Amazon gift cards, TV, PS5 if you're really good. I'm not good enough to do that for sure. So
I'm about to go. I'm gonna go watch some YouTube videos on SpaceX and stuff after this. So we're
gonna learn some of the words that he talked about.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back and watch this, take some notes on it, and then go into a YouTube rabbit hole.
Exactly.
No, but once again, shout out to Josh Dobbs for joining the show. I would love to make it happen again in the future. Hopefully, we can. Great guy. Like I said, rocket for an arm and rocket scientist. So, best of both worlds there. Thanks again for listening to this episode of Around the 412. This has been a presentation of Crowworthy, where winners are serving winners coast to coast with sports, gambling, fantasy, and so much more. Follow us on Twitter at Around the 412. Follow them at Crowworthy Takes, and visit the Pittsburgh City page at crowworthy.com for podcasts just like this one, blogs, and much more. Until next time, we'll see you. Bye-bye.